When most people think of Calgary landmarks, places like the Calgary Tower or Heritage Park often come to mind. But overlooking the Elbow River Valley is another landmark that has quietly become the part of Calgary's skyline for more than 70 years, Rideau Towers. Completed in the beginning of 1955, Rideau Towers introduced Calgary's first post-war luxury high-rise apartment development. Built on this prominent ridge in Rideau Park, this project offered something few residential developments could at the time: modern architecture, sweeping views, and an entirely different approach to apartment living. The project was developed by Peter Kaspari, a European-born developer whose life had taken an extraordinary path. After surviving the Holocaust, Kaspari immigrated to Canada and eventually settled in Calgary. During the city's post-war expansion, he became one of its most influential developers, and Rideau Towers would become one of his most iconic projects. Long before today's mature trees surrounded the property, this ridge provided unobstructed views across the Elbow River Valley toward downtown Calgary and, on clear days, the Rocky Mountains. It was a dramatic setting and one that helped define the identity of the development from the very beginning. Just as ambitious as a location was the way these buildings were constructed. Rideau Towers utilized lift slab construction, one of the most innovative building techniques of the era. Architecturally, Rideau Towers embraced the international style, one of the defining architectural movements of the 20th century. Rather than relying on decorative ornaments, this design emphasized clean geometry, flat roofs, horizontal lines, and functional simplicity. Brick, concrete, glass, and continuous balconies gave the towers a modern appearance that contrasted sharply with much of Calgary's earlier architecture. The elevated site became an important part of the architecture itself. Rather than competing with the landscape, the towers were positioned to take advantage of the ridge. When Rideau Towers was first marketed in the 1950s, it was promoted as more than simply another apartment building. Newspaper advertisements and promotional brochures presented it as the new standard of luxury living in Calgary. Residents were offered modern conveniences, spacious suites, spectacular views, and amenities that were common in residential developments of the era. Among the most notable features were the outdoor swimming pools, which became a defining part of the complex. Combined with landscaped grounds and recreational facilities, they reflected a growing trend in North American apartment design that emphasized lifestyle as much as the buildings themselves. For many Calgarians, Rideau Towers represented a level of apartment living that had been previously associated with much larger cities. The original vision of the property was even more ambitious than what was ultimately built. Early plans proposed 6 residential towers stretching across the ridge overlooking the Elbow River Valley. Only 4 towers were eventually constructed, leaving portions of the site undeveloped for nearly 2 decades. This changed in the mid-1970s with the construction of Rideau Place. Rather than completing 2 more high-rise towers, the remaining land was developed as complementary townhomes. The decision reflected changing development trends and housing preferences of the time while preserving the character of the original project. Over the decades, this complex has been carefully maintained and modernized. Mechanical systems have been upgraded, infrastructure has been renewed, and some cosmetic improvements have been made to the building. Despite these updates, the overall appearance remains remarkably faithful to the original 1950s design. The clean lines, brick facades, continuous balconies, and commanding presence on the ridge continue to make Rideau Towers one of Calgary's finest surviving examples of mid-century modern residential luxury architecture.